Internets, hello you lovelies. It is a big day in the world of pop culture news, in the world of comic book movie news, in the world of DC Studios news. Now, I am doing This Week in Comics tomorrow, which is my big show where I break down all the comics from the week prior, and I give you all of the big comic book news of the week. But I thought this was big enough to do its own impromptu live stream. So here we are with an impromptu live stream just about the big DC Studios update. Now, this is a tricky spot for me because I work with DC Studios. I have a show called DC Studio Showcase wherein we celebrate all of this very stuff. So I'm in a very specific spot where I don't want to, reveal anything that hasn't been told. I don't want to, claim to know things that people will take out of context. I don't want to be misquoted on the internet, which is what the internet is for. So I thought it would be fun to go through the news from the perspective of me reading articles and looking at the news that is all very, very firm and actual and tangible, going through the quotes that are actually from the sources, and then giving you my opinion and perspective. So that way I am still very much rooted in fact, and then the opinions I give, because at the end of the day, I'm still a huge fan of this stuff. So I want to give you my opinion in real time, but I also don't want to, betray anything of getting misquoted and then people being like, well, he works there, so that's got to be the case. So we're going to be diving into some articles and reading some actual quotes and then giving you my opinion directly. If you're new to this page, please hit that subscription bell. We are rapidly approaching 50,000 subscribers. When we hit 50K, I'm going to do a 50 comic giveaway. It's going to be DC Comics, Marvel Comics, Image Comics, Boom Comics, all sorts of comics, a whole medley coming at you if you're subscribers. That comes when we hit 50K. Also, please like this video. I wanted to do a live because I actually want to interact with you lovelies. I thought about filming like a 10-minute thoughts video, but then I was like, I want to vibe with the lovelies. So please jump in the comments as well. But a like will help because live algorithm and all that jazz. And most of all, as I said, I want this to be a conversation. So if you're watching this replay, leave a comment below because I'd love to hear what you thought of all of these updates and the things that are coming out. So without further ado, let's talk about the DC Studios updates. And as ever, in a live stream, I promise I am checking the live stream, but it moves pretty quick and I'm giving you guys lots of news. I guarantee you, every single super chat or stream lab, like with any other live I do, I will absolutely answer. So I will try to get to as much as I can, but I promise if it's a super chat or a stream lab, I will assuredly, before wrapping the stream, hit every single one of those. All right, so let's kick it off with the format. I personally love that we're not kicking off a 10-year plan by mapping out a phase that is full of variables and scripts that aren't done and, all of the things that I think are hindering other shared universes, but we are still at the same time announcing things and getting things up and exciting. So I personally love the approach of what it is we're doing with let's have the script finish, let's approve the script, let's officially greenlight it, but then there's also projects cooking at the same time that are in various stages of development, and that is the format of the meeting itself. To me, this feels much more like an old executive meeting, like in a bygone era of Hollywood where you have the press there and it's a small contingent of press and then you break things down as opposed to a giant con panel. I love the medley and I love the different approach as this universe is just getting started. So the biggest thing out of this for me was finally confirmation, that it will not be, as of this moment, Robert Pattinson as the DCU's Batman. The Batman 2 carrying on. The effects of the Penguin absolutely going to affect Robert Pattinson's Batman, but much like there are Batman comics and there are Detective comics and there are Justice League comics, there are different iterations of Batman at play here. So finally, with actual confirmation, that is not the plan, and that has been verbalized officially. They also discussed the Penguin Season 2, which is, I feel like the internet rumors made it seem like that was all systems go. I feel like the internet made it seem like, yeah, that is definitely happening. But the actual situation of what is happening is this is a very aware moment of, hey, season 1 was fantastic, but we want to make sure we do it for the right reasons. So what's happening with Penguin Season 2 is a conversation about it, but they don't know, and there are a lot of moving pieces, probably most important, Colin himself, and then James Gunn added, and about 800 pounds of makeup. Now, Colin Farrell also happened to be at the SAG Awards last night, and he said, it's not likely. Not likely to happen for you like an impulse just to do it like right away. He said, I want to make sure I get the exact quote right. I wrote it down because I believe facts are important. He said, and I quote, I would hate to, just because of a quote unquote success, have to go in again and for it to be a diluted version of what people seem to feel it is. I'm in no rush. I have no deep desire to do it. So I think it's very important to actually look at the quotes from the talent involved as opposed to the internet rumors. And that is why I'm being very careful with this announcement and how it is being conveyed. I want actual quotes and facts. So confirmed that there is a discussion of the Penguin Part 2, but also confirmed that they are going to make sure to do it right, if at all. And that is where we are right now. So I think that is very important to note about all of these projects, that they're waiting for green lights of things and then they're going forward. So in addition to the Batman being discussed as two separate entities, Pattinson's Batman and, of course, the new Brave and the Bold Batman, they did confirm that a writer is actively toiling away on the Batman Brave and the Bold script, and that it is an unnamed, as of now, writer, and that the first person that's going to see that script when it's done is Andy Muschietti. Now, this very seemingly small quote says a lot of things. One, to me, it says that the script is far enough along to discuss it in any capacity. Two, that we still don't know who the writer is, and it's going to be fun and cheeky once it's done to discover that. And three, Andy Muschietti is still attached as director, but is not as involved in the development as other projects are necessarily. Like, it's a very unique thing that this universe is getting built out with creators first. I love personally that people are getting to pitch stuff, and that is greenlighting things based on the pitches, not based on like, oh, we got this shared universe, we got to move these puzzles. And that's actually what we're going to talk about next with Clayface. But I also love that it's giving directors, writers, creatives a little bit more leash to play than we've got this one path we have to go on. So I think that's really interesting in the case of the Brave and the Bold, because there's such a specific goal with the Brave and the Bold that they want to make sure all of that is in the right path. It is in active development. The actual script is in active development, saying, quote, that the story is coming together nicely. Peter Safran said, everybody knows I love Batman, Gunn said, and that it is very unlikely that Pattinson will be there, but he wouldn't rule anything out. And it is confirmed to be, of course, Damian Wayne and Bruce Wayne. So we don't have a lot of facts about Batman the Brave and the Bold, is my point. I think it's very important to note that when you're reading all of these rumors, the script isn't finished yet. Speaking of scripts, the Matt Reeves, the Batman 2 script has not been brought forth, completed yet. We've heard various things about filming later this year. I do think that's happening. Pattinson said as much. We've heard from Matt Reeves that the script is right around done. So we just haven't had that exchange of script. But if you hear any rumors about villains or casting or any of the things that the internet likes to just make up, keep in mind that we would imagine Gunn and Safran would get the script in their hands first. So anything you've heard to this point, I would assume is fake news, or at least some variation of exaggeration, because the script not being in Gunn and Safran's hands means anything anyone else has said, they probably haven't seen the script either. And I think that's very important to note. And again, another great way of having this format of press in a room is you get to control the narrative. Last bit I want to talk about involving Batman is Clayface. Clayface is confirmed. That was a rumor the last few weeks that we were getting a Clayface movie. Gunn and Safran confirmed it. They also confirmed it is rated R. They confirmed literally the day after the rumor felt like it was an ink instead of pencil that James Watkins, director of Speak No Evil, is in fact directing the Mike Flanagan script. And this is one of my favorite things about what they're doing at the DC Studios method. They had no plan for a Clayface movie. They said as much in this meeting. There was no Clayface on the initial agenda, but Flanagan's pitch was so strong, and then the script was even stronger, and thus they had to make this amazing script, and they found a director, now announced as James Watkins, and they're moving forward with it being a separate entity as its own idea. And I love that, because they had already announced Batman the Brave and the Bold, already knew what those ideas were. They already knew the Batman Part 2 was going to be happening with Matt Reeves. Clayface was not on the agenda, but now, because of the strength of the idea, the strength of these creators, we're getting a $40 million R-rated body horror James Watkins directed joint. Now, James Watkins, I was lucky enough to interview for the Speak No Evil press tour. That dude is a delight. He is such a passionate filmmaker. You can check out my interview over at Real Rejects. By the way, speaking of a bunch of nerd stuff, check out my interview with Kevin Smith, Robert Kirkman, and Rob Liefeld at the Multicon panel we just had. Also, just by itself, that interview is out on Real Rejects by itself, so you can watch that 45-minute panel with those legends of comics over at Real Rejects. But check out the James Watkins interview. He is such a nerd. He is such a passionate filmmaker. I think if he jumped on this Clayface, not only is Mike Flanagan a genius that I have not seen anything I've disliked, various levels of liking, obviously, as with any artist, but he is so consistent. So you add Flanagan as a horror master, plus Watkins, a great director of horror that is so passionate. You give this a realistic budget. It is, I think, the right direction to go. Every movie shouldn't be $200 million. It is going to be so hard to make a consistent universe if everything costs so much money. You have to make 400 just to break even. $40 million body horror to mix up all of the cape dynamics, I think, is genius. Very excited about this project in particular, and very excited to see where it goes with these two filmmakers involved. So that is the Batman bundle of news. Clayface confirmed, R-rated, lower budget, James Watkins, Mike Flanagan. The Penguin season 2 is being discussed, but is not nearly as confirmed as people thought. The Batman 2, starring Robert Pattinson, will not most likely be anything to do with Batman the Brave and the Bold. Batman the Brave and the Bold is wrapping up its script. A writer is attached, and all the rumors you've heard are not yet true. Over to animation. Over at animation, we got a bunch of updates. Not only do we have 3 new projects confirmed, but they did confirm and discuss a bit more about the Dynamic Duo. Dynamic Duo had been confirmed a few months ago. James Gunn said it was actually happening. We got to see some previs stuff from a different project by the animation studio. We've learned it's a mix of like clay, puppetry, animation, CGI, like this incredible medley, and I'm very excited for it. But they discussed it at this actual panel with Safran saying, quote, "It provides a kind of perfect on-ramp for family audiences into the world of Gotham," which I think is a really cool thing. We're going to have, adult-oriented The Batman. We're going to have a family audience with Dynamic Duo. We're going to finally get to see Robins and the Bat family in this way. So I think this is a really fun way to differentiate your content. The studio is also still in active development on an animated series about Blue Beetle, which would continue the events from the 2023 film. So when James said back in the day that we were going to have the Blue Beetle movie exist going forward, this is a great example of that being true. That film was very vague about its Gotham, very vague about its Batman, very vague about those things. But its own universe, like the Blue Beetle's world, felt very lived in, but the DC universe hadn't formed yet. So it's kind of a perfect thing to allow to exist in a few ways. And we're getting that sequel via animation, which is going to star Sholo, and we're going to move forward that way. And they also announced, in addition to that, 3 younger skewing animated series, all overseen by Sam Register, who is an icon of this DC comic world in animation. Now we're getting 3 of these things. One of them is My Adventures with Green Lantern. I think that is really exciting because by the title, it sounds like it's probably going to be, and this is why it's tricky with this job. This is not me knowing something more in this case, and that's why I'm reading articles. I'm reading this, interpreting it as My Adventures with Superman, My Adventures with Green Lantern. It could be the same tone, or it could also maybe be in that universe. Again, do not quote me on that. I just hope that's the case because I think My Adventures with Superman is spectacular. That is the Jack Quaid voiced Superman show. It'd be cool if they make a My Adventures young adult universe out of that world. And the first of this newly announced trilogy of shows is My Adventures with Green Lantern, which is a high school Jessica Cruz who has had her life upended when, according to an official logline, a Green Lantern power ring falls from the sky and chooses Cruz to be its champion. That is very exciting because Jessica Cruz needs more love. I want to see the Green Lantern lore expand out, and I think doing it young adult is fantastic. The second of which announced was DC Superpowers, which takes place at the Alliance School for Heroes and focuses on new students Lightning, Flash, Plastic Man, Aquagirl, Green Lantern, and Terra, who level up their powers under the supervision of Principal Martian Manhunter in the hopes of one day graduating and becoming the next generation of Earth's defenders. So we've got a very specific show with a Green Lantern world building out young. We've then got a team show with a bunch of characters we've wanted to see for a long time, also in animation. And then thirdly, we have Starfire. So an established Green Lantern universe, a team, and now an origin show with Starfire being the origin of this fan favorite Titan character. The show will follow her adventures after she uses an ancient spaceship she discovers on her home planet of Tamaran, and she escapes that planet to explore the stars. So literally the launch of that character. And they also confirmed she will meet space biker Crush. Crush, by the way, is the daughter of Lobo, and we have Jason Momoa confirmed as Lobo. We're building out this cosmic stuff wonderfully. She'll also meet the Princess Amethyst of Gemworld, who's bizarrely, this character is so popular for how weird she is. I'm really excited to see her get translated. We will also be meeting the plant-loving Fern. Lots of really cool stuff. And they'll be uncovering the deepest reaches of the DC universe and save space dolphins, surf Technicolor nebulas, and boldly soar into the unknown. So this to me sounds like three very different shows. A, younger skewing space cop show with the Green Lantern, what they represent, a full-on Super Friends for today's generation with the superpower show, and then an origin show that's super cosmic and weird that is going to be like this really cool, psychedelic kid, funky, what's that artist's name with the dolphins and the craziness? She was like on our Trapper Keepers in the 90s. That kind of tone is what that sounds like to me. And that's dope for, young boys and girls to have these three varieties of shows. And in that same vein, they did confirm their goal is to get to a point where there is a consistent release of these shows. So their goal is to get to about 7 projects a year, 2 live action movies, 1 animated film, 2 live action shows, and 2 animated series. So a pair of movies, a pair of live action shows, a pair of animated shows, and then maybe eventually a pair of animated films. So at the start, 7, and then I've heard as much as 8 as they grow, especially with the Elseworlds and stuff. So we are very growing all of this out. Lisa Frank, you lovelies. Yes, Lisa, to me, that last one, Starfire, sounds like a Lisa Frank show. Thank you, live chat. I'm so glad we're doing this live. Would never have pulled that. Lisa Frank is the vibe I'm getting from that last show. So very different things. And that goal of that many projects a year sounds really, really dope to me. I am very excited about it personally, and we will see how it goes. Also, while we're at the midway point of this live, I do want to say I'm still going live tomorrow for This Week in Comics, and I'm going to be talking about the DC and Marvel crossover in the comic books. The Amalgam Universe got published, reprinted recently, but they're going to be doing new stuff with Marvel and DC crossing over. Going to be talking about the Punisher project, which is a new Punisher project with John Bernthal. Going to be talking about all sorts of stuff on This Week in Comics, but I wanted this video to specifically be about this DC Universe slate. So please tune in tomorrow, midday, probably about 1 p.m. PST, and I'm going to do my regular full comic array, including my favorite comics from last week and previewing this week's books. But today is just about DC. Speaking of which, moving into their next medley, they did discuss some of the rumored projects and confirmed a few of them. Gunn and Safran engaged in some of their most telling exchanges whenever they were asked about DC projects that had not yet been officially announced. Safran, for instance, pointed out that Daniel Craig was never attached to a Sergeant Rock movie. The actor had been floated for the role due to his creative relationship with the film's prospective director, Luca Guadagnino. I cannot say his name, but I love his work. He did the Incredible Challengers and the Peach movie. Man, I love that movie, and why can't I think of it? The Armie Hammer, Timmy Chalamet love story that's so very good. Call Me By Your Name. He did Call Me By Your Name, Challengers. He's a genius director. He is prospectively attached to direct Sergeant Rock, but also saying, quote, we never met with Daniel, Safran said. He was just an idea. I really want to stress those things. I feel like every article is going to be about Pattinson not being brave and the bold. It's going to be about Clayface. It's going to be about the upcoming Titans project we're going to talk about. I think it's really important to note fake news is the lead of the story. The lead of the story is having to spend as much time disproving as proving. It is very dangerous to be on the internet and think things are solid. I had heard, and that's why I don't report on a lot of this stuff. Like I didn't report Daniel Craig, Sergeant Rock, because I want to know something's real first. Daniel Craig was, as far as the internet seemed to think, was already filming Sergeant Rock practically. So I think it's really important we keep things in context. The director being a prospective director and that being an idea is very different. Just like the idea, like, of course, we'd consider maybe Pattinson, but like his saying that to me always was like, yeah, we thought about it, then we moved on from it. It was never like, this is the thing we're going to move forward with Batman. So that is, they never really announced Sergeant Rock, much less tied an actor to it. But now Sergeant Rock has been confirmed as at least existing. I'm pretty excited about that. If you guys saw my reactions to Creature Commandos, that Sergeant Rock pop had me elated. And that to me feels like the Clayface of another genre, where you get an incredible auteur director and you have them direct something that doesn't feel like a cape thing. You show the strength of DC Studios by making a blend of cape stuff and independent feeling stuff and horror things, like having a director like Luca on a war movie that has the DC Studios brand but doesn't feel like a superhero thing is a genius way to fight superhero fatigue, as is a body horror Clayface. I think this is all really exciting. And speaking of things that were strongly rumored that were actually true, a reporter asked about the status of the screenplay about Teen Titans, which is, of course, the team usually consisting of Nightwing, Cyborg, Starfire, who got her green light. It felt, timely. Written by Anna Nogueira, who wrote Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And Safran said, the script's not ready yet. I mean, I think we said that Anna Nogueira is writing it. And Gunn said, we haven't said that. And he said, nope, I think it was out there. I think it's out there. And Gunn confirmed, oh, it's out there, but it was never confirmed. Now it is out there. It has been confirmed. We are getting a Teen Titans, seemingly written by Anna Nogueira, who wrote Woman of Tomorrow, my most anticipated project after Superman. I'm very excited for Lanterns. I'm very excited for Booster Gold. I'm very excited for a lot of these things. But Woman of Tomorrow is one of my favorite DC comics of all time, adapting something from a book that I love so dearly that is this beautiful, very cinematic tale. I'm really excited by her writing, if they trusted her with that. Everything I've heard about that script is astounding. So this is a vote of confidence to me that if you trust her with that project and then she does so good, you give her another one. That means Titan sounds amazing. Woman of Tomorrow sounds amazing. I'm very excited to this in general. Another question asked about the prospective Deathstroke Bane script written by Matthew Orton was, quote, you say it like we've said there's a Deathstroke Bane script. Safran replied with a smile. He confirmed that Orton is working on a script for DC Studios, which Gunn said is, quote, something kind of like a Deathstroke Bane story. So, again, stressing the importance of rumor versus fact. It does seem like something is cooking. It does seem like he is working on something. It does seem like things are coming to play. But I am very, very excited to see as things get firmed up. But we really need to keep rumors and fact separate. And in fact, this is a Variety article. These exchanges made plain one of the challenges of running a superhero studio, even the possibility of a new movie or a TV show featuring one of these characters as a development project that may never come to pass for a host of reasons. The writers getting attached and, not. Directors being attached and scheduling conflicts. Actors being attached. And then if you've got the budget because of a certain actor and then you've got to do punch-ups on a script and that takes a certain amount of time and the actor falls out, it'd be so much better never to have announced the movie at all. I think what DC is doing, and again, my biases aside, to not give a phase rollout and have a 10-year plan public, but to have a 10-year plan private and let the chess pieces move is what I hope every shared universe starts doing. I think it is a much better move. And this article then goes into the exact language dialogue about the Pattinson situation. After fielding the question about Pattinson playing Batman in The Brave and the Bold, for example, Gunn sighed in exasperation, saying, quote, these questions become headlines because they say, have you ever talked about this? Quote, we've talked about literally every permutation of the way you come into this job in terms of how we're going to handle it, what actors we're going to continue over, what we're going to merge. We've talked about everything. Have you ever talked about Grant Gustin in The Flash? Yeah. Have you ever talked about Robert Pattinson? Yeah. We've talked about all those things, but serious conversations, no. The reason Coy wanted to do this reading an article is since I do DC Studios Showcase, I'm one step closer in-house that I was afraid, even just now saying, have you talked about Grant Gustin as Flash? Yeah, would be clipped out by itself. And then suddenly Grant Gustin coming back as the Flash would be canon. It's really messy. So I want more meetings that feel like they're taken in context instead of out. This one feels beautifully in context and very clear, and I appreciate that. They continued with, quote, Gunn and Safran also briefed reporters about the status of some other project they'd first announced in 2023. They remain in development on the Wonder Woman prequel series Paradise Lost. That is still in development. When I was building this live stream, I literally peeked around the internet to see what sort of fake news had already come out of this meeting that happened very recently and was taken off of embargo as recently as this morning. And I was like, what have people been lying about? I literally saw two different thumbnails about projects canceled and Paradise Lost being crossed out or canceled written over it, saying there is not. In black and white, they're in active development on Paradise Lost. And they're also moving forward on Booster Gold. And they're waiting on a particular showrunner and creator who has expressed interest but did ultimately move on, causing the delay. So there are reasons for things not getting follow-ups. There are reasons for the dangerous nature of announcing things. 3 other titles that don't quite have as much wind in their sails as the ones we've talked about so far is the horror film Swamp Thing has been stuck in limbo while the director, James Mangold, worked on that, little Best Picture nominated, every award won by Timothée Chalamet, Bob Dylan film, which is obviously causing a delay because The Complete Unknown has been sweeping everything, and he is attached in real life to Swamp Thing. The Peacemaker spinoff series Waller with Viola Davis has what Gunn has called a, quote, bumpy road, struggling to land the right script. The show was originally supposed to precede season 2 of Peacemaker, and as we all know, season 2 of Peacemaker comes out this fall, so obviously that one hasn't worked out. That one went into production first. And the project that suffered the most, it seems, is, quote, The Authority. In the 2023 presentation, Gunn spoke at length about the movie, which he said would follow the events of Superman, as it tracked a team of superheroes who adopt more unsparing ends justify the means philosophy than the Man of Steel. In the intervening 2 years later, however, The Authority has moved to the back burner, saying, quote, it's a very, very big movie. If you're going to do The Authority properly, Safran said, and some story elements perhaps that are in Superman and some of the other films that have been fast-tracked, they step a little bit on The Authority. Gunn then added, we also had a harder time coming along with the film script as there hasn't been as much priority because of the subsumed Paradise Lost and Brave and the Bold time. So prioritizing things taken out of context, quotes taken out of context. It seems like The Authority is still being worked on, but it's the furthest in. We got to figure some stuff out. It seems like Paradise Lost and Brave and the Bold are the ones there. And guys, the Holy Trinity, that makes sense, are the ones they are currently like really, really working on and toiling away at. And it seems like they are waiting for James Mangold to make any Swamp Thing moves. So trust in your directors, trust in the people you hired, trust in things cooking. Don't read things on the internet and assume things haven't gone awry or have gone awry. And in that same vein of trusting things in the internet and people taking things out of context, Gunn does still occasionally post to Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter, but he is taking a bit of a step back, understandably, so am I, and did acknowledge that the Zack Snyder photo was taken for the sake of making the internet lose its mind, saying, quote, we knew that people have this view that somehow we have this been pitted against each other. It's odd to have someone who you're friendly with in real life be the guy that is positioned as your Lex Luthor, or I'm his Lex Luthor. It's such a weird dynamic that's been created by factions online. Literally taking the photo on purpose to be like, what do you want from us? They made Dawn of the Dead together. James Gunn wrote Dawn of the Dead. The Zack Snyder movie from 20 years ago was written by James Gunn. They've known each other forever. Preposterous internet. So yeah, that is the overall arc of that. Final little bit of the article I want to share is the wider DCU story. There were times when it sounded like creative mandates from Gunn and Safran had set a larger DC universe where sometimes at cross purposes, like sometimes those things would counteract some of the other statements. On the one hand, Gunn had said that they, quote, remain steadfast in making sure that each of these projects works as a standalone project so that you can see Superman, you can watch Lanterns without having the homework of watching them both. But on the other hand, Safran said the entire reason they're relaunching DC is an endeavor to unify DC projects across film, TV animation, and video games is that people want to see these iconic characters interacting. To that end, Gunn said that he has mapped out a roughly 6-year plan to tell a wider story that would result in a culminating project akin to Marvel's Avengers movies, though he still insists that each individual project works as its own thing, saying, quote, it isn't like they're chapters of an overall story. They're characters that are part of an overall story. That, to me, is comic books. You don't need to read every issue of Spider-Man to know who Spider-Man is when he pops up in New Avengers. You don't need to read the entire Wolverine miniseries that he's got his solo stuff on to understand who and how Wolverine is an X-Men. That is the beauty of comic books. So I personally read all of it. I read 50 to 70 comics a week, and I talk about it every week in This Week in Comics, tomorrow live at 1-ish. But I also don't want people to feel like they have to be doing homework in order to watch any of these things. So I think this is a much healthier approach. I love that they addressed it. I think it's wonderful. I'd also recommend, I don't want to get into it because I've been avoiding politics like the plague. He was asked about, the Superman in Trump's America and what that looked like, asked about certain culture right now and what Superman reflects in that. And again, I am exhausted by all of it and I'm not dabbling, but I think it's a really beautiful series of quotes and would love people to check that out as well. And those were the things discussed yesterday at the DC Studios Showcase mega announcement. Not yesterday, this morning. It was this morning when the embargo dropped. It's been a long day already, but I wanted to give you guys some clarity. I wanted to give you guys, and it's hard. And I get a lot of people see me as someone that works at DC Studios, and thus I'm either going to say only nice things or I know too much to say anything. And that's why it was really important for me to do this live. I didn't want it to feel edited. I didn't want it to feel like I knew things that I wanted to mislead you with. I did want to read an article so that it was the stuff that was in the public eye. And I also wanted to make sure I used actual quotes. And that meant a lot to me because I wanted to share in this and be excited with you. So in that same vein, let's share. I'm going to go back up. I'm going to check on the super chats. We got a couple in. Very, very appreciative of each and every one of you. And I hope you've enjoyed the stream. This is one of the bigger streams we've done, impromptu. Without announcing this at all, I announced it 15 minutes ago. We got 250 you lovelies in here. So please leave a like, leave a comment. Let's do some super chats. And I'm going to check out the live stream. So if you guys have any questions you want, get them in now. That was the news. Pattinson is not likely to be Brave and the Bold's Batman. Thank you. I'm so excited personally. This is my opinion section. I'm so excited personally that we're getting a Batman that is going to feel comic-y, and we're going to get a Batman that is the gritty, Finchery Batman that I also love. I want a blue and gray suited, totally fits in the Justice League Batman that makes sense to exist in a world of crypto. Also, we're getting crypto side projects that are going to be little shorts with crypto. I also love that we are getting Clayface as its own independent body horror situation because of the strong pitches from geniuses like, Mike Flanagan and then Watkins coming on board. I love that the rumors about Ana Nogueira were true, that Wonder Woman Tomorrow was so strong that the Titan script developed that quickly. I love all of these confirmations, and I'm personally really excited. Eddie Rios with the super chat saying, "Hi, Coy, big fan and glad to catch you live finally. Thoughts on Jensen Ackles as DCU Batman? Anyone you'd like to see take up the cowl?" Jensen Ackles has one of the coolest voices ever. He has voiced so many DC characters, including, I believe, Batman. I totally see him as the right age for Damian Wayne's dad. I think he's an absolutely capable actor. I think the thing that makes me happiest is there are a lot of actors that could be great Batman, but I don't know if anyone as in love with the fandom as Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles does more con appearances than anyone I know. Jensen Ackles is so about the people in the fandom. Jensen Ackles literally, they did so many cons, it was cheaper to get their own jet. So he and the other dude from Supernatural literally bop out because they just paid overtime to get their own jet, I think. The guys are con, lifestyle dudes. And that means they love the fandom. That means they're passionate about it. And I love that. So I love Jensen Ackles for it because I think he's a great actor for Bruce Wayne and Batman, which is important. And I think that he cares about the fans enough that he'd want to do it for a long enough time. So I love him as it. I personally have always liked Jake Gyllenhaal for it. And if they're going the dad age stuff, I think that works for Damian Wayne. I like Milo Ventimiglia for it. I'm sure there's some I'm forgetting right now, but yeah, those are some of the ones that pop in my head. Annabelle Roman, what up, man? Time and updates appreciated. I think DC is going in the right direction at last, but hopefully not at the cost of quality just to get things out simultaneously. I think this shows the opposite personally. This is all showing quality and not trying to rush anything out. They didn't give any dates. The things that have been dated have been planned for a while. They're making sure scripts are greenlit as opposed to going oh no, let's start filming even though the script isn't done. Scripts have to be approved. There's a process that actually feels like filmmaking. To me, this is all not costing quality. It is encouraging quality. The Superman movie was wrapping as Fantastic Four was going into production, and they're out 2 weeks apart. Superman has been very labored over and constructed and quality and post-production. All of that to me is focusing on quality, not rushing to these dates. I love that personally. And I think that's how things are going. All right. And then I'm scrolling back down. Someone said Sklinner. I know he's been advocating for it. He's been out there. Jensen, I totally agree. Could play a kick-ass Batman. Yeah, I personally agree. I'm sorry if you answered this. No, it's not reference to the topic. What is your thoughts on the Marvel and DC crossover announcement? Tomorrow, going to be talking about that on This Week in Comics. I will, in short, say I'm excited and I love Amalgam. Do you think Clayface will be in the DCU canon or Elseworld? I could see either working at that budget. I personally want more and more Elseworlds like the Batman. I think the more you let creators create and play in their own sandboxes and don't try to tie everything in together, the better. Some of my favorite Batman stories are in Batman One Bad Day, and those are literally stories that take place in their own canon for one issue. It's an anthology series, but none of that affects continuity, and I think that's really wonderful with characters like this. So I would like either, but I would hope it is what Flanagan wrote and what Watkins wants to direct, not trying to be anything shared. Coy is a person who has followed your career for a decade and spent time with you. Folks who think that about you don't know you. You're a good person with integrity. Thank you, man. Wesley, good to see you in here. And I try real hard, and the internet does love to hate in general, but I appreciate those that give me that grace, because I really make sure to keep everyone happy while also giving my honest opinion. And sometimes that's a hard thing to walk. So I appreciate that. I read Coy's mind and confirmed he has info on Condiment King movie directed by Christopher Nolan. Okay, AMK, you're not supposed to use your powers for evil. The Condiment King movie, Chris Nolan's Condiment King, is something that I was told in privilege, that I was told in secret, that I was informed by the brass to keep under wraps for the next 6 years, but now it's out there, confirmed. Way to be. Coy, do you think Starfire, Teen Titans, Superpowers, and My Adventures of the Green Lantern will all be in the DCU canon? No. I think DCU canon is intentionally not one thing. I do think Starfire could lead to Titans, and I do think some of the actors, but I don't think all of that will be. My Adventures of Green Lantern might be tied to My Adventures of Superman, and obviously Jack Quaid is not David Corn. Depending on which canon, much like the comics, DC Black Label, Vertigo, DC All In, those are different tones. Absolute DC is different than DC All In, and it's not confusing as long as you follow the story. And I think you can do that with movies as well. Gustin coming back would be great as a new version of Barry. See, that's the danger. I'm even acknowledging that. I think Gustin wants to be a dad, and I don't want him trapped in this stuff if he doesn't want to be anymore. So yeah, that is going to do it, I believe, for this update. Please do hit that subscription bell. I want to hit that 50K, and we are cruising there. Good day, Legend. I love the stream. What are the 3 projects you would like to see get made from DC? Could be movies or series. Great question. I would like to see a Mr. Miracle project. Especially with like New Gods, Cosmic, that big scope. I would love to see that. I would love to see a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern series or movie. And I would love to see, only one more. Zatanna, Kyle Rayner, Mr. Miracle are 3 projects I would love to see. When do you, the super chat from Joey Pedris, thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. When do you think we'll hear about potential DCU games? How well do you think those could tie into everything? I think the beauty of doing the games is you could have long form storytelling run parallel. That could be an adventure that I think gets verbally referenced as like, oh, when we fought blah, blah, blah last time, that craziness, but it would be an Easter egg for comic and video game fans that would just be a great building of exposition for a movie. And I think that's how I would use video games. So you're not like, I don't think the average person or me who does this for a living has the 40 hours or whatever to beat a game in order to understand a plot line. So as long as it's just like for dialogue exposition or character building over here, but it doesn't hurt the movies, I think that'd be wonderful. I think we'll start hearing about them after Superman. I think this universe needs to build a little bit first before you add the long form of video games, but I do think that is coming. Jaka, listen to the documentary after your stream last week. West Side Story and Higher have been on repeat. Absolute bangers. Any more West Coast Rex in the same vibe? I love that so much, so very much. West Coast bangers. Tupacalypse Now. I would say Me Against the World, both Tupac. I would say Doggy Style and Dre's The Chronic are classics for a reason. I would say The Game's Born to Rap is slept on. I would say anything from the first 3 albums from Too Short is exceptional. I would say more recently, it sounds like an East Coast album, but it's a West Coast group. 7 Nights in Chicago is a bunch of West Coast rappers from the Bay. I would check out the Blind Spotting soundtrack. It's a double album. A lot of West Coast sounds on there that are dope. So before I get out of here, crowd question, live chat. What are the number 1 and 2 projects you want to see in the DC universe, announced or not? No, let's do announced. From what has been announced, including this slate, the new stuff that was just confirmed, the new stuff that was just brought to light, like the animated stuff, from the stuff we know about, what are your 1 and 2? You don't have to number them, just like 2 projects you're most excited about from what we know so far. If you're watching this stream later, like, tomorrow, or even once I end this, leave it in the comments below. I want to know your 1 and 2, just because I'm curious. I think mine are Superman because of the import, and I think Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, because I love the comic so very much. Lanterns is not far behind. But those are mine. In the chat, we've got Lanterns and Supergirl, Authority and Swampy, Teen Titans and Lanterns, Supergirl and Teen Titans. Everything though, Teen Titans and Superman, Superman and Teen Titans. It feels like Titans is really anticipated. Batman the Brave and the Bold and Swamp Thing, Teen Titans and a Dynamic Duo, and Batman the Brave and the Bold, Lanterns and Supergirl, Brave and the Bold and Clayface. Okay, so that's what I was hoping. I really hope this is how much people are excited because of the wide array. I think this is the beautiful thing about what they're building, is there's so much different dynamics, and there's so, like, I can't pick one from this. People are just like loving all of it. So that makes me really happy that there's such an array. Jordan Garza. Yeah. Oh, hey man. I said your name wrong and then my brain got frozen. Dude was rewatching your vinyl stream while drawing Dochi and didn't realize you had been live. Love Dochi so very much. Welcome. I am live. Good to see you, man. I mean, Coy, you know me well enough that a Nightwing project is always going to top my list. So a Dynamic Duo for sure. Second, I'd say Superman. That movie is so important. I love that you're getting some Nightwing, Michael, and I also love how excited you are for Superman because it is very important. Wesley with the Supergirl and Batman the Brave and the Bold. Critic A, Swamp Thing and Superman. Teen Titans and Supergirl for Lobo. I like the specificity. All right, you lovelies, that is going to do it. Much love to DC Studios and how they're releasing this news and getting rid of the false stuff, confirming the real stuff, doing it in classic Hollywood style, and not announcing 82 phases and causing lots of stress and anxiety and confusion. I want you lovelies to follow sources you trust. I want you to hear quotes and actually have it be from the people that actually know things. And please do not let the mess of the internet make you think projects are falling apart that never existed or are further along than they are and then get delayed, and don't think everything you hear or read is necessarily true. I'm wrong all the time, but I try to get the facts as right as I can before I even speak, because the internet's forever. So hopefully this cleared some things up. Hopefully you enjoyed this stream. If you did, please hit that subscription bell. Like I said, we get to 50K doing a 50 comic giveaway. Every one of my subscribers is going to be, eligible. And I'm going to do some sort of like curated thing where it's like, comment here if you want in. And that way I don't just mail someone comics that doesn't read comics. But please hit that subscription bell, hit the like. We got 133 likes. Let's see that skyrocket. Please leave a comment. Let me know what are your 2 most anticipated projects. I appreciate y'all very, very much. I'll be back tomorrow around 1 p.m. PST. That is the goal. I read 50 to 70 comics a week. I break down my top 9 from that week, and I try to make them the more approachable books. So I do that tomorrow. That's going to be tomorrow's show, as well as the news about the Batman, about the DC and Marvel crossover. A little bit more about Penguin 2. Going to be talking all about the Punisher project. Going to be talking about all sorts of big stuff tomorrow. Tomorrow's still a giant show, but this felt big enough. I didn't want it to be part of that already giant show. So tune in tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. So much love.